Today, the Tundra gets new headlights. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you guys are all staying healthy and safe. Ever since picking up the 22 Tundra, the number one thing I wanted to upgrade has been the headlights for two reasons. Number one, I feel like the light output on these headlights isn't that great, especially with these reflector style headlights. Number two, while the design of the headlights and the style is pretty neat, I just cannot stand the little chrome pieces in there. In my opinion, it looks really cheap. And today we're doing just that by installing these AlphaRex Alpha Black Nova Series LED lights onto the Tundra. Now, AlphaRex does have multiple color options as far as the lights themselves, so you can get the Alpha Black here, which is going to be completely black, or you can get the, I believe they're just called the black version, which has a little bit of a lighter, like silver still here on the sides. For the DRLs, I decided to go with a white DRL, but you can also get these in the amber DRL, and as you guys know, both the AlphaRex Nova Series and Lux Series lights, they do have the little activation sequence when you're locking and unlocking the truck, so I'm super stoked on that. And with this having, 4 LEDs, this should also improve our light output significantly. For the installation, I'm going to give myself about 45 minutes with recording the video. Should be super simple. We just need to pull the bumper off, replace the lights. It does come with all of the hardware, well, I should say the wiring harness that we need to get this plugged in and make it plug and play. Now, before I do the installation, I am going to throw the truck up against the wall. I'm going to mark off where the OEM lights are as far as the cutoff line. That'll show you guys kind of the cutoff line before and after, and then that will be able to adjust these if we need to. To adjust them is super simple for both the vertical and horizontals. We just use these little knobbies right here. Anyway, without talking too much, let's go ahead and get into the install. All right, as I mentioned, now that we have the wall marked, we know what the cutoff is on the OEM headlights, along with kind of where the hot spots are with both the driver's side and passenger side. That will help us really align the AlphaRex headlights in case we do need to adjust them left or right, up and down. Now we're gonna pull the front bumper off. I've done this multiple times, so this will take me like 5 minutes. And rather than me going through and recording this process for you guys right now, since I've done it so many times in other videos, right now, I'll throw in a clip of how to remove the front bumper from another video. Once we get this off, we'll get into removing the headlights.
Start by removing the 4 10mm bolts attaching the grille to the radiator support. Up next, we're going to unplug all electrical connectors from the grille, starting with 2 on the passenger side right here. And then we also have 2 on the driver's side right here, so we're going to disconnect those. Next up, we will be removing these push clips. There's 1 on the driver's side, 1 on the passenger side. I'm just going to use a screwdriver here, pop them off, and pull them off. Like so. And do that on both sides. Next up, I'm going to zip off these 4 10mm bolts from inside the fender liner on the front side right here. Do this on both sides. Up next, I'm going to use a panel removal tool right here, and I'm going to pop off these fender flares, starting at the bottom and going all the way up towards the fender. And we don't have to go all the way up, just up to here like so. Then I'm going to reach behind and just pull the bumper cover off of the little hangers right here. And then we'll go through and just completely separate it right here, just to make sure that we don't also scratch up the headlight. Up next, we need to slide under the truck, and we need to remove these 10mm bolts from these brackets up front. There will be 4 of these, 1 on the driver's side, passenger side, and 2 in the middle of the truck. So let's pull these off. Then we need to remove these 10mm bolts behind the grille. There's going to be 2 brackets, and the easiest way to get to this is going to be just by reaching down behind the grille and getting them off.
All right, now that I have the bumper off, next up we're gonna remove the headlights. Before I do that, I'm gonna throw down some masking tape right here, just so I'm not scratching up the fender as I'm pulling the lights off. And also this way, as we're putting the new AlphaRex lights in, we're not going to scratch up the lights or the fender, so just a little precaution. Next up, we're going to remove the bolts holding the headlights onto the chassis. We got 1 on the side right here. We got 3 up top, and I believe that's going to be enough to get all this out. So let's going to get this guy taken off. Also, I'm going to leave this all connected. Once I pull the headlight out a little bit, I'll disconnect the back of the headlight. I think it'll make it a lot easier for us. With all the bolts removed, next up we just need to disconnect this little wiring harness right here. That's on the headlight housing, so we're going to use this little pry tool. Get those guys out. And then we're just going to get this guy off its little hangers and pull it straight out. Perfect. Now that we have the housing out, we can just go ahead and disconnect this right here. And there is only 2 plugs here. And then we just need to get the wiring harness off of the lights. And also don't forget this guy down here on the bottom. Up next, I'm going to go through and repeat the same process on the passenger side, and then we'll be ready to get the AlphaRexes on. Alright, so our truck is the TRD Limited, so it does come with the reflector headlights from the factory. What we need to do first, and I already did it, is the AlphaRex headlights will come with this decoder that's like attached to a double-sided sticky tape, so you want to remove that from the headlights themselves. For the TRD reflector models, we will still leave all this plugged in. However, once we get this removed from the headlights, we will unplug the DRLs right here, which is this little wire right here. So, I don't know if you guys can see it. So I'm going to unplug the DRL wire like that. Next up, we will take the little socket plugs right here that came for the harness. I'm going to plug these into your little units right here, like that. Now this will go into the harness that's provided, into the side markers right here. Also, with this harness, one thing to keep in mind, so we have it right here, this harness will attach to the little sockets which we just attached. So I'll do this once it's on the truck, but I'll go there. This will go into the little grill plugs on the passenger side. One thing to keep in mind, this side right here with the shorter length will go onto the passenger side, and the longer one right here, boom, will go on the driver's side, which is actually this headlight right here. So let's go ahead and get this onto the truck. Before we wire this up, what we are going to do is we are going to install this little added fuse to power up our DRLs. It does look intimidating, but this is extremely simple. All we need to do is tap into 2 fuses. I'll show you which ones we need to do there with these added fuses, and then just add this little ground to the battery. So let's go ahead and get this onto the truck. We'll start with this harness here, and then we'll get the headlights on. I'm going to start by tapping into the fuse box on the passenger side, so we're going to open this guy up. All right, to confirm, so gray wire will go into the 7.5 amp right here, so we're going to pull that guy out. Simply throw it in right here. There we go. And our red will go into the 15 amp right here, which is the horn. There we go. Now I'll get a nice close-up shot for you guys right now. Next up, take the black wire off the same harness and attach it to the negative terminal on your battery. Just going to do it right here. Perfect. Next up, let's get the headlights on and get them all wired up. Now that we have the added fuses all done, next up we're going to just route the DRL wire to the driver's side headlight. I'm just going to route it through the front cross frame right here. And again, remember, the short side will be on the passenger side, right here, and this goes to the driver's side. Up next, we're going to take the DRL harness and plug it into our little plugs right here, the little splitter. Start passenger side, and this guy goes in right here, like that, onto the passenger side headlight. Next up, we'll take the yellow wire from the added fuse, hook it up to the passenger side headlights here. After this, we'll go through and just hook everything up into these headlights. There we go. And on our DRL harness, we're going to plug this guy into the little grill plugs right here. Next up, what we'll need to do is take this little wire right here for the actual DRL right here. We're going to plug her into our little harness that we did the added fuses on. We're going to plug the small wire into the headlights that we disconnected from the little box. I'm going to run this guy across and plug it into the other DRL. So that will power up to make sure that we have enough power for the dance sequence. Also, ignore all these wires. This is for all the other lighting I have. So let's go and get this done, and then we'll be ready to get these lights onto the truck. All right, so we got everything wired up as per the instructions. It's a fairly simple process. Now, one thing I do want to mention that you will have this wire right here on the driver's side with the yellow that's not plugged in, and that's intentional. And again, make sure you have your box removed. And we're going to test this to make sure that our sequence works. There we go. That looks awesome. Anyway, now we're going to go ahead and just reinstall these headlights onto the truck. Get the bumper back on, and we're going to be ready to go. So let's go ahead and get this on, and then I'll show you guys how to adjust these lights if we need to. Now, I've had these headlights installed on Tundra, I'm ashamed to admit, for a couple of months. It is now January. I installed them back at the end of, I want to say, October. However, it did give me the opportunity to really drive on these things and really test them. Took the truck on a couple of really long road trips, a lot of night driving, and the first thing I got to say about these lights is that they are significantly brighter than the OEM headlights. Now again, my truck is the TRD Limited Offroad, so it came with the Reflector, it's pretty much the lower model headlights, and these Nova Series headlights are a lot brighter. The cutoff line on the lights is pretty much 6s with the OEM lights. It's really nice and sharp. I love the color. It is definitely, I want to say, cooler, so it's going to seem brighter as well. So overall, light output, huge win, and I'm super stoked on that. Aside from that, a complete transform the front end of the truck, a lot darker as far as the light housings themselves, and then having the little LED dance sequence as the cherry on top. And I really love having DRLs on the truck as well. Now, I have received a lot of questions on Instagram, because for you guys that follow me on Instagram have seen the truck with the lights. One of the questions is as far as the fitment itself. Now, the fitment on these headlights, I would say it's like 98% there. It is not going to be 100% like OEM. I do want to say that the reason for that is whenever you're taking the front end off multiple times, which I have taken off multiple times, the alignment of the bumpers and the fenders will never be 100% unless you really put in the time to do it. So for me to say that some of the lines are not a perfect fit, they're off by maybe like 0.5 millimeter. They're not noticeable from 5 feet away, but again, I have taken my front end off a lot. I would say probably like 20 times. So regardless, I didn't really look at my fitment on my OEM headlights, but I would imagine they had the same fitment issue. So that's one thing. I mean, the fitment is really good. For me, it doesn't bother me at all that it is off by like the 1 millimeter, just on like one corner. And again, like all the benefits I'm receiving from the headlights, that little con doesn't really, bother me at all. Overall, like I mentioned, I will throw some photos up of like the light cutoff and some nighttime shots so you guys can see the actual light output, and it's super amazing. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have for you guys with this video. If you guys do have any specific questions about these AlphaRex headlights, make sure to drop them down below and I will do a follow-up video. For the installation, again, this is a TRD Offroad Reflector style headlights, so the installation will be different from you guys that already have your projector headlights. If you guys do want to see a install video on the wiring, or if you guys have any questions on the wiring of the current one, just drop that down below and I'll see if I can put maybe a specific video just for the wiring between the two different headlight types. Also, I know a lot of questions will be whether or not the Nova Series will be brighter than the Lux Series, and the question is going to be yes. I do believe that the Lux Series will be a little bit brighter than the OEM ones. However, these Nova Series are a lot brighter than both of those. So anyway, that's all the time we have for you guys today. Again, it's been a while since I released the last video and a lot has happened to the truck, so I'll do an update on the truck here shortly. If you guys haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, drop me a like below, drop your comments down below. Until next time, I hope you guys have a great day and we'll see you.